Well, welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today we are tackling something else with the 2JZ swapped Mark III Turbo Supra. In the most recent video you saw it on the dyno, and it was doing well, but it wasn't doing as well as it should. And we've pretty much determined that we have an issue where either the rear turbo is bad, or something is happening and it's not allowing the boost to build off that rear turbo. So in this episode, we're going to tackle figuring out exactly what is wrong and hopefully fixing it. So if you're interested, hopefully this one ends up a lot better and we get to make some power in the next video. But yeah, first we got to fix things. So that's what's going on in this video, fixing stuff. Stay tuned. All right, now as I said, it seems like the rear turbo is not building boost for whatever reason. Either the turbo is stuck, it's damaged, or something is causing airflow not to work with that rear turbo. We have troubleshot as much as we possibly could on the dyno to be able to figure out what exactly is going on, but we couldn't get it over there, so we brought it back to the shop to be able to tear into it more deeply and see exactly what's going on. Now, one thing we're going to be doing here is we are actually going to be drilling, removing the rear turbo housing and then drilling and tapping a pressure fitting onto that turbo so that we can verify the boost coming out of the front turbo, and that we can also verify the boost coming out of the rear turbo. Naturally, these rear turbos do not have a boost reference on them, but the boss is there, so you can actually just drill it, thread it, and put a fitting on it. Then we're going to do that. That way we can test exactly what's going on there, and then we're going to be able to go through all of the different actuators that are still in here and make sure that what's going on makes sense to us, and what we need to do to be able to make this thing work. It's very possibly going to be a situation where we've got an actuator that's either not hooked up the right way, we didn't do it right, or it's stuck, or it's not going open or closed, or something along those lines. All of that stuff we got to figure it out, because this car needs to be done for import face-off, which is in like 2 weeks. So we've kicked the can down the road as far as we possibly can. This thing needs to get done because these two need to be with a couple of other toys at import face-off in 2 weeks. So we're gonna get it pulled in. Rich is gonna get working on it, and yeah, we're gonna go from there.
So I have my pressure tap for my rear compressor housing. Now it's time to put this thing all back together, and then we'll take some readings and see what's going on. Make sure both of our turbos are making pressure, and then we'll move forward. So that's what you do. Fun stuff. Should be good to go. Put some lubricant on my seal. Try not to hit my compressor on the way down in here. Go away for now. Line up my alignment marks from when I took it apart. Snap ring pliers. Now let's see if I can get this guy back together. It's looking pretty good. I got this. So this is already gutted. This is one of the old valves. It's got a valve in here that opens and closes depending on what the computer controls for the stock setup on this. And I removed the flap that's normally in here. I don't know if you can see in there or not. There's normally a butterfly valve in there that's actuated by vacuum and or pressure, and I'm just going to remove the entire rod and put a plug in the side. It'll clean up stuff that's not being used, and it'll increase my airflow inside there quite a bit. less turbulence. So let's do that. Hey, airflow. Look at that. Gotta plug that hole and we'll put her back together. So I removed my valve and my rod and I plugged my hole. I ran a vacuum line. They actually just go together. I'll put a pill in between them to separate them, and then I can pull off my vacuum lines and check my turbo health at any time, which will be nice. Get this guy put back together. I'm going to remove the valve, the reed block that's in here, and just put the plate back on there. And that's really about it. It's time to put it back together. Let's see what happens. Now, before I started all this, I did double check my compression. I did a crank and compression test on the engine, and everything turned out looking good. We're getting 155 to 161 PSI cranking compression, which is pretty stout. So we know our compression's good. We know our engine actually runs really well, because I mean we're currently making 330 something to the wheels. So we know one of our turbos isn't working correctly. And now I can take readings of what my boost level is at each individual turbo. I'm going to lock this wastegate into the closed position, which will make us know that it is definitely locked in. And then we will regulate our boost pressure with the front wastegate on the front turbo. Should work just dandy. So while we had it apart, we made a couple little improvements as we figure out our solution to our problem. Got to trudge through and figure it out. So, finish putting these pipes on. Take it out for a test drive. See what else I can mess up. It's like a pretzel. It's like two pretzels. Pretzel of airflow. That's why these things gets blown away by a big single. It's alright, it'll be neat to see what this thing does for like a year, and then we'll take it all apart and put a big single on it. I should probably lock that there wastegate down before I put all this in there, huh? That would have probably been a smart idea. I think this is more good for education and bad for my health. Learning all sorts of stuff on this guy. Learning all sorts of, don't do it this way. It's alright, it'll be fun when it's all said and done. We actually have learned quite a bit on this today. We learned our compression's good. We learned I could remove the rear compressor housing in the car. It wasn't easy, but I was able to do it. Everything looks good. Let's take her a test drive. good news is I just got back from my test drive and I didn't die. And there's really no reason I would have died. But it's fun to, you know, add needless drama to movies apparently these days. No, reality, I took it for my test drive and everything went well. I'm actually hitting fuel cutoff now because the programming is seeing things that it doesn't like, and it's shutting off the fuel and protecting the engine as it should. So I now have 15 plus PSI coming out of my front turbo. I now have 15 plus PSI coming out of my rear turbo. And I'm 99% sure that my wastegate was being held open by the actuator that was on there. It wasn't something that I thought to look at, but in the future it's certainly something I will check, is to make sure that the wastegate is fully closed with the actuator hooked up. In this case, we're not using the actuator, we're just gonna lock that thing shut and we're gonna regulate boost pressure with the front actuator. It simplifies the system and just will work just fine for what we're trying to do. So exciting day. We fiddled around with this thing way more than we should have. We had a turbo failure, and then we still couldn't build power when we got it back all back together after the turbo failure. We had a wastegate sticking open. So there's the answer. Wastegate not set up correct. Oh well. Problem solved. Now it's off to the dyno to actually get tuned with both turbos functioning correctly. Let's see what it can do. I'm pretty excited to see where this thing ends up. So I'm going to pull my gauges back off this thing. Cut it loose. Well, thanks for watching this episode of our 2JZ swapped Supra. And who knows what we'll do with this thing next. You'll probably see a dyno video. And then I think import face-off is in a couple weeks, so hopefully it'll be there at the track and we can let the driver cut it loose going down the quarter-mile for you. That should be some good footage. At any rate, thanks for watching. My name's Richard Lucore. This is my shop, Lucore Automotive Services. We work on everything except for the stuff that we say no to, but I don't think we've said no to anybody yet. It is what it is. We like old cars, we like old tuner cars, we like muscle cars, we like diesel trucks. Pretty much we like everything. Except for Mazda Speed 3s. We don't have a soft spot in our hearts for those things. I'm not sure anybody does. Anyway, click like, subscribe, leave us a comment below. Have a great day, guys. See you on the next one.